Hey fly tires, welcome back. My name is Matt and thank you for stopping by the channel. Now, tonight's pattern is a western fly created by George Bodner of Colorado Springs in 1971. I've only found the fly in 2 books, Terry Hellekson's Popular Fly Patterns from 1976 and Dave Hughes' American Fly Tying Manual. So how do we classify this pattern? It's a little bit more than a general attractor pattern. Vary the colors a little bit. It could be a caddis fly or a stonefly. Tie it small enough and it could be any number of mayflies, and make it big enough it can be a grasshopper. So it's a very versatile fly pattern. It's not too hard to tie. I'm going to tie up a bunch of them and I'm starting right now. There it is in the vise, the Colorado King. This guy can be tied as big as a size 6 and down as small as a 16. I'm tying it on a size 12. It's a 1X long barbless dry fly hook. I'm going to put down a base of brown 70 denier UTC all the way back to the start of the bend. Okay, for the tail, we're looking at dark moose body hair, just 2 fibers. Now if you don't have this, you could probably use bucktail, dark bucktail. Find the stiffest ones you have though, because it is a fairly stiff tail. And I did not cut that off very short, so let's get in there and try to take care of that. One more wrap, maybe we can bury that thing right there. That's good enough. Now the only instructions I've seen had both of these tied on the side. You can try that if you want. I haven't really been worried about it. I'm just putting them on here and they will pretty much naturally split on you. If you want, you could lift them up and put a wrap underneath them, but I think for the most part they've been splitting just fine on me. So let's go ahead and trim those off, and we'll tie in our hackle that we're going to palmer up. This one is brown. I'll catch this in here in the back. All the way back to where we're going to start wrapping it. Okay, and I could either snip that piece off or I'm just going to bury it right there. Okay, now let's tie in our dubbing. Put a little wax on it first. The dubbing on this, you could use any hair. The one recipe I saw called for hare's ear. So I've made a little bit clump of hare's ear here. Just pulled some of the under fur down near the cheek and a little bit of guard hairs up above the eye, right under the ear. And so put this on, just kind of touch it to it and spin it into a fairly tight noodle. It's going to be buggy, but that's the intent. Now, it might take a couple applications, but take it back to where you start to put that dubbing on and then evenly space wraps all the way to the front. Okay, now stop that right up under the eye. You can pluck some of these guard hairs out or trim them if you want, or just leave them. So let's wrap the hackle next. Just take this fairly evenly spaced all the way up, just palmer it all the way up, and then at the front, you might take a few wraps close together to give it more of a front hackle. Okay, so that's pretty evenly palmered, but I'm going to take another wrap just real close to get it a little bit more bulk at the front. So 2 wraps to catch this off. Now we'll reach in here and snip this as close as you can get it. Hopefully you don't have too many sticking forward there. We can worry about that when we're doing our head. So take your thread back to where we're going to tie in this deer hair wing. I'm going to put a little more of a base just so I don't have a step right here. Now deer hair. You could use comparadun hair if you have it. If you don't have anything that fancy, just straight natural deer hair. You will want to put it in your stacker for a little bit. And it's not too big a clump. I'd say about as much as you put on an elk hair caddis. So after you get that in your stacker, pull this out, and the wing is going to be a little bit past the bend of the hook because it's going to flare up. So let's go about right there. And do a little pinch wrap right here and pull it tight on this side, on your side. Maybe another wrap right there. Now take a look at it. If you're not spinning around, I think that's going to look fine. Just be careful, it might spin around on you as you take some more tight wraps. I will lift it up and put a wrap or two under here. And then another locking wrap on top before, let's do two, before we reach in here and cut this thing off. Okay. So we're not leaving this as a head like an elk hair or anything like that. So you'll want to get in here and cut this as close as you can get it. Okay. Got one little one right there, and then I'll show you how I finish this off. We'll hold this in, put a couple of wraps up in here, and before I work on that head, just try to push these up. Take your fingernail and push them up right here, and we'll build our head straight behind the eye. Now is where you take a look at it, and can you still get your tippet through the eye? As long as you can, then you've got a fishable fly, which is the intent. So just a few wraps to smooth out and clean up this head right here. Don't let it get too big on you. I think that's going to be fine. Let's try and bury just a little bit more of that right there. Oh well, not going to get it all. Let's go ahead and do the whip finish. 3 or 4 turns is probably fine because you'll want some head cement on this guy. So I've got 4 turns right there. I'm gonna reach in here, poke my scissors, and take my head cement. Oh, I've got one crazy fiber right there, but I think we can live with that. So just a small drop of head cement. That might be a little bit more than I intended, so let's try to pull some of that off. And I will give it a quick spin to try and even some of that out. Put my light on it for 10 or 15 seconds. And there you have it. Colorado King is done. Not a very well-known fly, but it looks like it's going to be a pretty effective fly, and I can't wait to use it. So thanks for watching, folks, and we'll see you next time.